welcome back to the Villa View. It's time for a match preview in association with Luke Roper. If you use the code TVV20, you'll get 20% off everything Luke Roper has to offer, including their new Dapper Villain range and this weird Tony Soprano tracksuit top that I've got on as well that I'm not even sure if they sell anymore, actually. But yeah, anything you like from Luke Roper, you'll get 20% off if you use our code TVV20. I'm hosting Dan Bardell and I'm joined by Omar to talk through Aston Villa against Leeds. It's Friday night lights, Omar. Villa have signed someone today, so that's always a good thing. I don't want to go on about it too much because Neil and myself did do a transfer show last night, so we want people to go back and watch that if they haven't done already. But in January, it does always feel nice when you get signing over the line.
Yeah. No, I watched the show last night. I really enjoyed it.
Thanks, mate.
I told you. Yeah, it was really interesting, really good conversation. Obviously, Neil's done his research as well, and yourself as well.
You chucked in the as well. I just thought you just said Neil's done his research and then just carry on.
Well, you know what? Neil's known for his in-depth analysis of players as well, isn't he? So, yeah. But I thought it was a really interesting conversation. I think for me, just quickly touching on, I don't want to labour the point, but yeah, I don't know much about him at all. Maybe seen him once or twice, but without obviously thinking that he'd ever come to Villa or he'd be a Villa player. It's an interesting signing. Part of me is excited, obviously, because obviously Unai Emery wants him in. It's his first signing, and Emery, I imagine, is driving the decision to sign him. But there's also this tinge of doubt. Not being negative or anything like that, but we signed like Luca Dean 12 months ago, spent 25 million on him, paying him. He's one of our highest players, if not our highest paid players in the squad. And whether they, I know you're pointing around whether they both play together or not. Still, it would just be an interesting one. It's been an interesting one. But then again, it's just more the overall strategy, and that's what I'm interested about. I'm not sort of putting a dampener on it. I just want to see what happens before I make a judgment in terms of not so much his signing, but more so what's happened over the last 12 months and where we go from here and the rebuild job, etc., and getting Emery's players. And I think it's going to be a really interesting window, an interesting sort of 12 months, maybe in the next 3 windows going to be. I'll be interested to see how he is, how he molds the team, the kind of players he brings in. You mentioned Moreno being quite pacey as well, and him getting up and down. I think Luca Dean, I really like Luca Dean in terms of his delivery. I know he probably hasn't done as well.
Not seen enough of his delivery though. You sat. I'm
not. But I think
you say you like his delivery, but when have we really seen it? I can't think of any.
But if you look at that, if you look at his assists, I think he's he's probably got the most assists since he's joined. I think he's got 5 assists last year.
They must have all been at the back end of last season. He hasn't got any this season, to my knowledge.
But I think more so chances created. I think he's near the top as well. But his defending has been very powder puff, I think, and suspect. And I think that's a big concern. And also your point about him being stand and deliver type defender in terms of his attacking crossing. I think that's been quite apparent. He never beats a man. He never really gets to the byline. It's very much, as you say, the end of a move and crossing from almost the throw-in line, isn't he? Quite deep away from the player. And his delivery is excellent. Don't get me wrong, but I think the way Emery wants to play, he wants something a bit more, someone a bit more dynamic. And hopefully, like I said, I don't know too much about Moreno, apart from what I've seen and what I've read and what you guys have said. He seems like a player who's a bit more dynamic going forward. And obviously strong in the tackle as well.
Yeah, I mean, I've said this before, on his YouTube reel, he looked unbelievable, but everyone looks good on their YouTube reel. Even I might not look good on a YouTube reel if we pulled out my best footballing moments from my lifetime. There'd only be about 3 or 4 on there, but yeah, YouTube makes everyone look absolutely excellent. Quick disclaimer, this is not my house, just in case anyone's questioning the decor. Again,
I was going to say.
No, this is not. I was worried that people would think that because this room's slightly different to the other room.
Whereabouts are you? We're in London, are you?
Brentford. I'm right by the Brentford ground. Yeah, Sky is very near Brentford, so
of course, I'm
right by the Brentford ground. But yes, this is not my decor. Wouldn't be what I would choose. Just in case anyone was thinking, Bardell's curtains are very, very jazzy.
There's a big colour clash going on at the moment, mate.
Oh, there is. I didn't know about that before I came. I'm very limited. I don't want to put my clothes on that I'm wearing in the morning on Sky Sports News. So there is a colour clash going on. We don't know whether Moreno will play at the moment. I think we're waiting for international clearance. I believe I heard on TalkSport on my way down to London. So we can't discuss whether he'll come into the team, but if he does, I expect it will be in that left midfield role. They're a bit light out wide at the moment as well, aren't they, with McGinn? I don't know whether he'll be back either because Emery hasn't had his press conference at this point, but he obviously has that hamstring injury. Ramsey's coming back from injury. Hopefully he's fit to start because I think we miss him when he doesn't play, Jacob Ramsey. But we've got to be better than we were in the Cup, haven't we, Omar? I think.
Yeah, we're not going to mention it, I thought.
Well, we have to, don't we? But I would say there'll be some survivors from the Cup tie, weren't there? Because in the end, I think 4 or 5 of them who would start this game ended up coming on. So there'll be survivors. We could do with getting ahead early because I think there will be some backlash from that Stevenage game. And I think, we've lost a bit of momentum. I think there was some positive momentum. And I think what we did in that Stevenage game will have created a little bit of hostility in the crowd. And it will have created a little bit of impatience in the crowd as well, Omar, won't it?
Yeah. I can imagine. It's almost natural, isn't it, given what happened? But I don't think there should be because I think, the Cup game aside, what we've done in the league so far.
League form's been good.
Been fantastic.
Very good.
Very good. Performance has been great. Well, it's 4 out of 5, isn't it? 5 out of 6 if you include, which is Gerrard left. So I don't think you've got to back the players, and I think that second half against Wolves, especially, the fans got behind the team, even though probably the team didn't really deserve it after that first half performance, but it really helped, I think, and I think we need a really buoyant, atmospheric Villa Park on Friday under the lights. I think it needs to be. The fans need to just get behind the lads. And the Stevenage game, it happens. It was poor, really, really poor. Lack of. It wasn't so much lack of effort, although it was a bit pedestrian. I thought the likes of Bailey, etc. They tried. Coutinho tried. They tried to do something, but the lack of quality was more surprising for me.
I would say.
Yeah, which is a bit of a concern, really. But then, I think Bailey's been a bit up and down. But I think and Emery, he's worked hard. He's had good moments. And Douglas Luiz is probably one of our best players. And again, he was fine against Stevenage, really. And who else will start? Luiz, Kamara. Kamara didn't play, did he? Bailey will probably start.
I think he'll probably be young at right back.
Yeah, I think Watkins will probably start again. Maybe a shout of things, obviously, because he scored against Wolves. But I think
you might see Watkins and Ings. In fact, that's a possibility.
Yeah, maybe. So I think there's plenty of players there who didn't play against Stevenage who deserve a bit of credit. And the players who did play against Stevenage, they weren't at their best, but still they've done enough in the Villa shirt over the last 4 or 5 games to get a good backing and get behind the lads. And the day if we start negatively or the players get on so the fans get on the players' backs after the first 10 minutes with bad misplaced passes, etc., then it's just going to be a difficult night at the end of the day. It's not going to help anyone.
No, I think it's a team that maybe suits us playing Leeds. I think they won't come and sit back Leeds. That's not what they do at all. They play with a great intensity, but I think that will make for an open game. I think there'll be goals in this game, but Leeds can be got out of the back. I think it's probably the weakest part of their team, really, is the defence. I mean, people say they haven't had a goal scorer since Bamford's been injured, but I don't look at Leeds and think goals are a massive problem. I always think that's still a very championship defence, and if Firpo's playing left back, you should be able to have an absolute field day because Firpo is on another planet at times when he plays for Leeds. I know the Leeds fans aren't keen on him. So it should be an open game. I've got to be honest, I quite like Jesse Marsh. I quite like Leeds' transfer business in the summer. I quite like what they're trying to do and how they're operating now. They're very much going for a Red Bull model. They're not a Red Bull team, but they're very much acting in that mode. Obviously with Jesse Marsh, he was heavily involved in all that Red Bull stuff as well, and has managed a couple of teams who were Red Bull teams, I think. So, I quite like what Leeds are doing. I like a couple of their players. I like Tyler Adams. I like Aronson. I think they're both good players. I think Rodrigo, in fairness, I don't think he's a natural goal scorer or a natural striker, but he's led the line very well this season for them. I think they've got players coming through. Greenwood's played a little bit of football recently. He's a highly rated player who's, I think they got it from Arsenal initially, but he's been in their academy for a while. He's played games. Geldhardt's come on. I think he's going on loan, but Geldhardt's come in and played a few games, scored some important goals for them last season. So I think Leeds have got that mix where they're trying to get players in that Red Bull model, but they're also trying to get players in through their academy as well, Leeds. So a mixed bag of a team, but I would say it might not work every time, but at least you can see what Jesse Marsh is trying to do, a little bit like Emery at Villa. I can actually see what he's trying to do. So if I can see what a coach is trying to implement, and the players play for him as well, people take the mick out of him because the stuff he says, he did a result at Anfield. Those players were digging in and playing for him, and that's one thing I'll say about Jesse Marsh and Leeds. They feel as well. I think the supporters are probably a little bit 50-50, but those players are playing for their manager, so it won't be an easy game by any stretch of the imagination. but I think it will be an open game, which may suit us.
Yeah, I completely agree. I couldn't have summed it up better myself, to be honest. I think it'd be a really interesting game. It'd be an exciting game, I think. Leeds, a very energetic young team, got some exciting players. They're let down at both ends of the pitch, aren't they? Their defense is poor.
Rodrigo's probably got more goals than our strikers this season.
Yeah, Rodrigo scored, I think, 40% of their goals this season. So they're really relying on him. Bamford's, I think, hasn't scored, obviously, but I think I read somewhere, I can't remember what it was, that he scored the least amount of goals given the XG he's had. I think he's had XG of like 4 or 5, and he's
just not been the same since he's come back from injuries. He's really
struggling. Really struggling.
Think how good he was when he scored that hat trick against us on lockdown. I remember paying 20 quid for that game as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
He scored an unbelievable hat trick, didn't he? That day, Patrick Bamford. But since then, he just since that great season he's just been injured the whole time. Actually, I'm not keen on him for obvious reasons. But I feel sorry for him in that respect because he's just losing years and years of his career with bad injuries when he just seemed like he got settled and found himself a little bit.
Yeah, no, he has struggled, and he's not the same player at all. And I mean, that performance, that's that was when we were in a really good run in that lockdown period.
From nowhere that was.
I know it was, and last year 3-3 as well. That was a great game. I was there as well, and it was. We shouldn't have drawn that game as well. But they can be a dangerous team. They're attacking. They'll create chances, and they've got some good young players. Somerville as well is another one. And they're look like they're going to sign Jorginho Rutter as well, who's an excellent player, really, really hot prospect, both-footed, exciting player.
Good things about him actually.
And that's the kind of profile of player that's looking to sign. They're looking to sign young, exciting players, pacey, athletic, energetic, etc. So they can be a difficult proposition, and they've always been a difficult proposition for us. I think the last home team to win a game in this fixture was Villa back in 2018 when we beat them 1-0. I think it was it Graben. I think Graben scored a header, didn't he? I think that's towards the end of the season.
Zach was playing centre back that day.
Yeah. I think that's the last time. That's the last time a home team's won a game. So it's going to be, I imagine, pretty evenly matched. But I think we just need to be a bit ruthless. Last year at 3-3, we 3-1 up. Coutinho was having an absolute blinder, and we just took our eye off the ball. We conceded a goal before the second before the.
He had a bad one that day, didn't he? He had a couple of bad ones.
Yeah, poor in the air against Daniel James, wasn't it? And then the second half corner as well, missed clearance. So we just need to be on it. They'll attack and they'll create chances, I'm sure. We just need to be good on the ball and ruthless to both ends. I think that'll be the difference. I think it'll be a pretty end-to-end game, but I imagine, I'm hoping our cutting edge and our solidity at the back is the difference.
Yeah, I don't know whether you saw it yesterday. There's Talking Tactics, who's someone I follow on Twitter. He does a lot of great tactical analysis.
He's great
on Twitter, and he did some analysis on Villa's defensive setup, basically saying it's a 6-2-2. If you're on Twitter, I recommend going and reading that thread because he'll explain it better than I'm about to on his Twitter page. But in previous times, when Villa have played a team like Leeds, because our midfield always felt like it was so easy to play through, you'd worry about it. But because of this defense, ignore the Stevenage game, because of the defensive setup with Villa's best 11, you do feel like we'll be more tough to break down, but we will also offer something going forward, and we'll be able to get at them going forward as well. The Liverpool game feels a bit of an anomaly, really, because we were well open in that game. That would have been the one I would have expected us to operate a little bit tighter at, but we were very, very open. I don't know whether going 1-0 down affected us that day, but generally, when we've needed to dig in and defend, that 6-2-2 has been effective for us.
Yeah, and we played a really high line that game.
It was bizarre from nowhere.
Really nowhere. And I like us to play high line under Emery. I think it can be quite fruitful for us. And we've got, we were talking about pace, weren't you, yesterday? And, Mings and Konza are probably two of our quickest players, if you think about it. So we can play a high line. I think likes of Luca Dean lets us down. Mike Cash, is he quick? He's pacey, but I don't think he's quick. So I don't know. Yeah, I'll see. I wouldn't like us to play a high line against. Yeah, I wouldn't play high line against Leeds. I think if we're compact against Leeds, it's probably the best way forward because we can pick them off, and their defense is so poor. Things like set pieces on the transition, like we did last year in the first half. They both Ramsey goals were on transition, weren't they? Because Leeds were so open at the back, and I think
we need Ramsey in, don't we? We need Ramsey.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to play, so I think Ramsey will come straight in. I'd probably, I don't know about you, what would you go for in terms of lineup?
much of it depends on Moreno. I'd be probably adverse to throwing someone straight in who hasn't really had any proper training time and then throwing him in against one of the most intense teams in the league when you've been playing in La Liga. I would probably be adverse to doing that. In all honesty, I'd be putting Ramsey in. Ramsey needs to play. He's the best ball carrier we've got. He's got the best control and touch when driving and running with the ball as well. Ramsey has to play. I think arguably he's in our top 3 most important players, Jacob Ramsey. So
Yeah.
we definitely need to get him back in the team. And you saw in that Manchester United game, he was exceptional that day, scored. He was involved in everything good that we did. That 6-2-2, I think that's why Bailey plays, because the two stay up top high and it relies on pace and being direct. And I think at the
100%.
moment, that's probably why Ings isn't playing, Omar.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think Ings is a bit of a conundrum, isn't he? I always see, Watkins gets absolutely berated for his finishing, and Ings comes on and scores a goal now and again. And it's like, why is Ings not starting? He's such a good finisher. And it's a really difficult one because Watkins gives you so much else, all-round play, especially in this system. You need someone like Watkins, otherwise it doesn't work. And I think you play Ings, you just won't see as much of the ball. So the likes of Luiz and Kamara can't get forward. We've seen Luiz get forward against Spurs and score that goal. We've seen Kamara boss midfield. We've seen the likes of McGinn get forward, Leon Bailey get forward, etc. And I think if you don't have Watkins, it all falls down. Ideally, you'd have a hybrid of both, someone who can finish as well.
Does he?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
I know people knock him, but his hold-up play is better than I think people give him credit for.
Yeah, and he could be a lot better. He misses chances 100%. But your conversation last night about how difficult it is to be a striker in the Premier League and how rare they are. He scored 14 goals in his first season, 11 last season. I know he's only got 3 or 4 this season, but it's difficult. We weren't creating hardly any chances. I'd like to see him.
At least he's missing chances now. I suppose that's something, isn't it?
Yeah,
because he's in the positions. We weren't getting in the positions, and we didn't look like we had a clue what to do when we were going forward.
Yeah. I mean, ideally, we'd get a hybrid, like I say, or someone like Christian Benteke, the next Christian Benteke, as Neil talked about yesterday. But it's very difficult. And for now, I think Watkins is our best bet alongside Leon Bailey because of that pace. Emery's got his hands tied a little bit because Gerrard decided to go into the season with one proper winger. Traoré, El Ghazi, Trezeguet, probably not good enough. But it would have been nice to have one of them as an option.
You might have kept one of them around, maybe.
And it was just poor management, poor tactics, poor strategy, and Emery's suffering for it because we don't have another winger. We don't have another option apart from Bailey. We don't have any of the pacey players, really. Ramsey, as you say, is great on the ball, running with the ball, but in terms of pure pace, in terms of frightening defenses, then we have to rely on Watkins and Bailey, and it is what it is until we bring in a winger or a forward player with pace, etc. It's going to be the way it is, and it's going to be frustrating at times because Watkins will miss chances. Ings missed plenty of chances last year as well. I think people forget, how many chances. I remember the Spurs game where he missed like 4 or 5 clear-cut chances. There've been plenty of games like that as well. So it's very difficult to have a 15, 20 goal striker in this league. And I think Watkins' all-round game means he should start every game. Not every game. I mean, if he's performed poorly, then obviously not. But I think for now, he's been fine under Emery. I think he's been a key cog in why we've done so well because of his all-round play. And he's set up goals, he's scored goals. I think where he's been better is he's got his head up a little bit more for the pass, whereas before he'd be a bit more, head down, try and get a shot away. I think he's been a bit better. His pass to Buendia against Spurs as an example. I think
he's
before
got some goal involvement recently. Watkins, a man up scoring those, but he's got a few assists.
Yeah, exactly, and he's setting up chances. So I think, I think I'd stick with him, and I think Ramsey comes in for the beginning, and everyone else stays the same. To be honest, I don't think I'd be surprised if Moreno starts. He's just come in, it's 2 games, 2 days away. Emery, as we know, Emery likes to get his players in, the week before the game and get it drilled into him in terms of the game plan, etc. So having 2 days with him, well, really a day, isn't it? Really, I won't have any more than that. So I'll be surprised if he starts.
So we're saying Ramsey in for cash. That's the change.
Yeah,
Ramsey from the Wolves game, because Cash went right mid, didn't it?
Yeah.
Ramsey in for Cash.
That didn't work at all, did it? Cash right mid. So yeah.
Again, though, we're hamstrung, aren't we, with wide players?
Yeah, exactly. You know what you can do, and that's what I mean. This Guendouzi link is an interesting one. I really like him as a player. I think he's come on loads. He's been a real key player for Marseille. His attitude, he drives the team forward. He's just a really important member of their team, and I think he has his flaws. Don't get me wrong, but I think he'd be an interesting one. I sort of put on Twitter, where do you think he'll play? I wasn't 100% sure, but a lot of people think he might play that sort of right-hand side role, because we don't really play. McGinn doesn't really play as a winger, does he? He comes inside.
We haven't got a formation. That's the most simple way I can put it. It's a 4-4-2, but it's not 4-4-2. You don't have a position. The only players that really have proper positions, I would say now, are the two centre backs and the two central midfielders. Everyone else, it's very much you playing in a hybrid role where you're half this, half that. The two centre backs and the two defensive midfielders, they're the only ones with actually defined positions in the team, and a goalkeeper, obviously. The rest, it's a little bit up to interpretation of whether you've got the ball, where you are on the pitch. It's very difficult, because McGinn, like you say, has played wide, but he's not playing wide, if that makes sense. He's just starting from the wide right. That's where I think Guendouzi would play if he came. But got to be honest, I've got no idea whether that's actually going to happen, whether it's genuine. Everything's been a little bit quiet today.
Well, he started today. Started today for Marseille.
Someone's piped in the chat saying he's got an assist. I watched him play against Spurs, I think it was, in the Champions League earlier on season. I liked it when he was at Arsenal, because I thought I liked his energy. I thought I liked his pressing. Again, he's someone Emery's worked with. If Villa can get someone like that in, I'm all for it. That would be a signing that I would like. I think we'll only get 2 or 3 in. Obviously, we've already got 1 in already, but I think players that know how Emery works would probably be beneficial.
It's quite nice to have the fluid formation that we've got, to be honest. I think
we've bemoaned being rigid with the 4-3-3, nothing ever changing, haven't we? For a year, so.
I mean, Gerrard was very much straight line football, wasn't it? It was no movement at all, and it was really frustrating. Under Dean Smith, it was mainly counter-attack football, and at times it was great and really attacking. At times it was hard work. So it's just good I really like the way we set up when we're off the ball, when the defenders got the ball, like Mings or Konza got the ball. The way they're able to find space, pick gaps, and the way we're able to keep the ball. It's not perfect. It's going to take time, obviously, to get to the way that Emery wants to play. But it's just nice to see a bit of movement off the ball, and I like the way that we play, where players don't have a set position. There can be a bit of flexibility, and if McGinn goes forward, Young stays back, Young goes forward, McGinn covers him, and the way the midfielders, there's always one of the midfielders is always breaking into the box or getting forward. They're not just 2 sitting midfielders; they are playing true double pivot roles. Our favourite 2
really
words.
Clever. I really enjoy watching us. I really enjoy watching us from a tactical perspective, and I've never enjoyed watching Villa from a tactical perspective before, I don't think.
No, really interesting, and it's just enjoyable to watch us, and it shows you the value of coaching, doesn't it? It's the same players, but they're playing in a completely different way, just in the space of a matter of weeks, really.
But if we can pull a win off on Friday, which isn't beyond the realms of possibility at all, the start we've made under Emery, forget the cup. I'm still pissed off, but forget about it. You look at the league form. If we can muster a victory up on Friday, we're on a really good run. I mean, when Emery came in, I think to say that we'd be there, I think we'd have all been absolutely delighted. We'd been the top of the bottom.
Oh, 100%. I didn't expect us to be where we're at now. I thought it was going to be a real slog. And it's, still maybe, don't get me wrong, but...
What were we on? 26 points? I've completely forgotten.
20. I think we're 22 points, I think.
22, not 20. I wish we were on 26. But
it's a shame we didn't beat Wolves, to be honest, because then that would have put us in a really strong position. But because I don't think we can get Chelsea, can we? I think even if we win. It's, we've won 4 or 5 games in the last sort of 6 or 7 games. So it's put us in a really strong position. And we should really be aiming, depending on who we sign and injuries, then I think we should be trying to aim for top 10 if we can. We've got a good enough team, and look at the team. Some of the teams ahead of us as well, and in and around us. They're all beatable teams. It's not like anyone's. Even teams like Liverpool, etc., are struggling. Fulham have done really well. Chelsea are struggling. The only real form teams are Arsenal, Man City to an extent. Even then, they're not at their usual best.
Well, they were when about to come on. Brentford are a form team at the moment.
Brentford 14, but they weren't before. They've just had a really good 3-4 game period, and they can easily go the other way as well. So, if we're consistent over the next few weeks, then, and we've got a good run of fixtures as well. It could be an interesting one.
We've got a nice 3 games. I wouldn't say that's a nice run of fixtures. The end 2 on that screen that just came up didn't fill me with joy. The Arsenal and Manchester City games, but the next 3, you'd like to be taking 5, 6, 7 points from those, really. Southampton look like they might be coming into a bit of form just as we're about to play them, though, which is
Yeah.
very unfortunate. Especially when I was on Sky the other day and I said that Nathan Jones was a nonsense appointment. They've won every game since I said that.
Did you say that?
Yeah.
I missed that.
Yeah, I got carried away, didn't I? I have to be reined in sometimes. The bright lights.
Nonsense.
I
That's strong for Sky. That's very
I said
strong
it was
for
a
Sky,
nonsense
mate.
appointment. Yeah, I need to be careful with some of the stuff I say sometimes. But yeah, let's have a score prediction from you then, Omar, before we go.
I think 3-1 Villa.
3-1. Yeah, I do think there'll be goals. I'm going to go 2-1 Villa, though. I think we'll win 2-1. Leeds haven't won in 6, I believe.
Yeah, we have to beat them, really, if we're going to do anything this season. I know Villa don't work that way.
We always say that.
They lose against teams that should
we need to win this game.
Yeah. But we've got to be trying to win this game. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Really looking forward to it. I think the atmosphere will be great. I think we just need to forget the Stevenage game.
But that is key. We need to get behind them on Friday night. I think we will. I think the Villa fans will. I think but we're back to the league now. The league form has been good. It's been more than good.
It's been very good.
We came in. So
it's excellent. It's been excellent. I think if you look at form table of the last 6 games, I think we'll be near the top.
Yeah, so we've got to get behind them. I think this will be good. This will be a good game, exciting game on a Friday on the telly. We're never great on telly, although we did start the new year on telly against Spurs winning. So you never know. Maybe that's turned a corner now all of a sudden. So yeah. Thanks for watching. Thanks for those that have tuned in with us live and getting involved in the comments as well. We always enjoy your input, even though I don't think we got you involved as much as I would have liked tonight. But we did last night and didn't watch the video last night with Neil and myself, the transfer talk video. Do go back and have a look at that, have a watch of that, because we talk about Moreno, Danjuma, Guendouzi a little bit as well. So yeah, go and have a look at that video. I'll put my neck on the line a little bit as well. So yeah,
just a bit.
If you want to have a look at that, go back and
how many DMs you had?
a lot of DMs, including journalists from other countries asking me questions as well. So yeah, I've had a few DMs since I ran my mouth on the Villa View last night. Omar, thanks for joining me. Adam, thank you for producing and not putting the Stevenage badge up like you did last night. We'll be back with a post-match pint at the weekend. I imagine at some point we'll let you know when that's coming. But do subscribe to the channel with your post notifications on, so you do know when the content is coming and when we're going live, and you can join us and listen to us and have a chat with us as well in the live chat. I'm on Sky again in the morning if you care to watch me, 9 till 10 and 12 till 1. You think I would have learned the times by now. I've done 3 shows. I've done 6 shows across 3 days, and I still haven't talked about Villa. Maybe tomorrow will be the day. We'll see what happens. Yeah. Surely. Omar, anything to plug before we go?
No. Well, yeah, the podcast should be back this week. Take a little bit of a break. So watch out for that. We're the Villa Talks podcast. I
might come on mine. We said.
Yeah. I want to try and get you on. Yeah, definitely. Nice. We're on YouTube now, although very early days on YouTube.
Sometimes I like to come on and not be the one presenting. I quite enjoy having you asking me questions.
Last time you were on, we were doing Aston Villa themed.
Theme park
rides.
Unbelievable. That was an unbelievable podcast.
You came up with an absolute beauty. I can't remember.
I can't remember any.
Is this something to do with Ron Vlaar or something? I can't remember now. It's gone completely out of my head. I'll have to find it, dig it out.
Bumper Vlaars, maybe. I can't remember.
I think it might be better.
Bumper Vlaars. Yeah, Tony Jar's theme park we were working on, weren't we? We were getting the rights. Good podcast that was. I enjoyed that. It's probably about 10 years ago now that we did that, but I enjoyed that. Yeah. Daniel Hughes, I don't know whether you were late to the podcast, saying nice curtains. They are not my curtains. This is the hotel's curtains. I don't want anyone thinking that this is what I would choose in a house, because it absolutely is not. That does us. Thanks for watching. Only one thing left to say: up the Villa.
Up the Villa.